The first night without him, Suyuk didn't think much of it. He assumed Do-hoon had gone out, forgotten the time, would be back by morning. When morning came and the apartment remained silent, he felt a flicker of annoyance. How ungrateful to leave without permission, without explanation, without giving him the chance to do what? He wasn't sure. He put the note in a drawer and went to work. The first week was irritating. His coffee wasn't right in the morning, he'd never realized. Do-hoon made it exactly the way he liked it. The apartment was too quiet, he'd never noticed how much he'd grown, accustomed to the soft sounds of another person living alongside him. He told himself it was nothing. Do-hoon would come back. He always came back. The second week, the irritation curdled into anger. How dare he leave? After everything he'd been given, a home, security, comfort, a life most people would kill for, and this was how he repaid him? By disappearing without a word, without giving him the chance to do what? He still didn't know. He threw himself into work, filling the silence with meetings and calls and deals. It worked during the day. At night, the quiet returned. He started leaving the television on just to hear voices. By the third week, the anger had faded into something else, something he didn't have a name for. He found himself standing in Do-hoon's closet, the one that used to hold Do-hoon's clothes. Before he'd replaced them all with Yeji's, empty now, except for a single bright red shirt pushed to the back, forgotten. Do-hoon's shirt, the one he'd worn that first night in the convenience store. Suyuk pulled it out and held it. It smelled like nothing now, just fabric. He remembered, suddenly, the way Do-hoon had looked that night. Rain-soaked and ordinary and so impossibly alive. He'd seen Yeji in him. Of course that's why he'd approached. That's why he'd stayed. But there had been something else too. Something he'd never allowed himself to notice. Do-hoon's laugh. Quiet, genuine. Nothing like Yeji's. The way his eyes crinkled when he was genuinely amused. The way he'd sometimes forget to perform and just be. He'd trained all of that out of him. Deliberately, carefully, lovingly. He'd erased him. And now he was gone. For the first time, Suyuk wondered, what was his name? His real name? He couldn't remember. The realization hit him like a physical blow, and he sat on the edge of the bed, the red shirt clutched in his hands. And for the first time in years, he cried. He hired investigators. Not because he missed him, he told himself it was about closure. About making sure Do-hoon was okay. About fulfilling some vague sense of responsibility. He told himself a lot of things. They found him into weeks. Do-hoon was living in a small coastal city, working at a bookstore, renting a tiny room above a cafe. He was alone. He looked thinner, older. His eyes, in the photographs the investigators brought, held a kind of emptiness that made Suyuk's chest ache. He looked at those photographs for a long time. At Do-hoon, not Yeji, not the ghost he tried to create, but Do-hoon, the real one, the one he'd never bothered to see. He decided to go to him. The bookstore was small and quiet, the kind of place where time seemed to move slower. Suyuk found Do-hoon behind the counter, shelving books, his back to the door. For a moment, he just watched him. The way he moved, the way he tilted his head when he read a title, the way he was just himself, Do-hoon. The name felt strange in his mouth. He'd never said it before. Not once. Do-hoon froze. Then slowly, carefully, he turned. Their eyes met. Suyuk expected shock maybe, or anger, or tears. What he got was nothing. Just a flat, empty stare, like he was looking at a stranger. Can I help you? Do-hoon's voice was polite, distant. The voice you use with customers you'll never see again. Do-hoon, I know you? The words cut like glass. I'm sorry. I don't remember your name, he remembered. Of course he remembered. But he was making a point, and Suyuk felt it land. I came to what? Find your ghost? He's not here. Do-hoon turned back to his books. I don't do that anymore. I don't perform. If you're looking for Yeji, you're in the wrong place. I'm not looking for Yeji. The words came out before he could stop them. I'm looking for you. Do-hoon's hands stilled on the books. For a moment, he didn't move. Then he laughed a short, bitter sound. You don't even know my name. You just said it for the first time 30 seconds ago. And now you're looking for me. I know. Suyuk stepped closer. I know I was wrong. I know I never saw you. I know I erased you. And I don't expect you to forgive me. You just what? I don't know. He ran a hand through his hair, frustrated, lost. I don't know what I'm doing here. I just know that when you left, something broke. Something I didn't know I had. Do-hoon was quiet for a long moment. Then, you should go. Do-hoon, go. His voice was firm, final. I spent a year becoming someone else for you. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not anyone's ghost. I'm not anyone's replacement. I'm just me. And if that's not enough for you, then there's nothing left to say. Suyuk stood there, frozen, watching the man he'd never bothered to see become someone he couldn't reach. Then the bell above the door chimed, and another man walked in. He was handsome. That was Soo-yuk's first thought. Tall, with kind eyes and an easy smile. The kind of man who looked like he'd never hurt anyone. He walked straight to the counter like he belonged there. Do-hoon ready for lunch? Do-hoon's face transformed. The emptiness vanished, replaced by something warm, something real. A genuine smile, not Yeji's smile, but his own. Yeah, just give me 5 minutes. He turned to Soo-yuk. Was there anything else? Soo-yuk couldn't speak, couldn't move. He was watching Do-hoon smile at someone else, and it felt like being stabbed. The other man noticed him then, his gaze curious. Friend of yours? No, Do-hoon said. Just a customer. Just a customer. Soo-yuk felt the words like physical blows. He'd come all this way, and he was just a customer. Nothing more. Nothing special. Just another face in a crowd. He left without another word. He didn't leave the city. He stayed. He told himself it was because he had business to attend to, meetings to reschedule, arrangements to make. But every day, he found himself outside that bookstore, watching from across the street, watching Do-hoon live his life, watching him laugh with customers, watching him read during slow moments, watching him close up at night and walk to a small cafe with the handsome stranger Jae-young. He learned his name was and sit for hours, talking, laughing, being. Jae-young touched him sometimes, a hand on his shoulder, a brief hug goodbye. Nothing inappropriate, nothing romantic. Soo-yuk could see that. They were friends, just friends, but the jealousy was a living thing, coiling in his chest, whispering things he didn't want to hear. He never smiled like that for you. He never looked at you like that. You never deserved to be looked at like that. He started following them, not close enough to be noticed, just close enough to watch, to learn, to understand who Do-hoon was when he wasn't performing, wasn't pretending, wasn't being someone else. Do-hoon liked his coffee sweet to sugars, lots of cream, not black like Yeji. Do-hoon laughed easily, often, at things that weren't even that funny, not quiet and controlled like Yeji. Do-hoon wore bright colors, reds and blues, and greens, not soft creams and grays. Do-hoon was nothing like Yeji. Do-hoon was himself, and Soo-yuk had never seen him. Not once. 2 weeks later, he approached Do-hoon again. This time, he waited until after the bookstore closed. When Do-hoon was walking alone toward the cafe, Jae-young wasn't with him yet. Do-hoon stopped, sighed, turned. You're still here. I am. Why? Because I can't leave. The words came out raw, honest. Because I've been watching you for 2 weeks, and I'm realizing that I never knew you at all because every day, I see you do something, laugh, drink coffee, read a book, and it's nothing like him. Nothing like Yeji. It's just you. And I don't know how I missed it. Do-hoon's expression didn't change. You missed it because you weren't looking. You were looking for him. I know. You dressed me in his clothes, taught me his piano, called me his name. You turned me into a mirror and never once looked past your own reflection. I know. So, why are you here? Really? Soo-yuk took a breath, then another. Then he said something he'd never said to anyone. Because I miss you. Not him. You. The person I never bothered to see. The person I erased. The person I think I might have loved, if I'd been capable of love. If I hadn't been so broken. Do-hoon stared at him for a long moment. Then he laughed, that same bitter laugh from their first meeting. You don't miss me. You miss the idea of me. You miss having someone to fill the empty spaces. I miss the way you hummed when you cooked. The words came out desperate, unstoppable. I miss the way you'd sometimes forget to be him and just be you. I miss the sound of your laugh before you learned to silence it. I miss you. The real you. The one I never let exist. Silence stretched between them. Then, quietly, you don't get to miss me. You never knew me. I know. And that's my fault. Every bit of it. He reached into his pocket and pulled out the bright red shirt, the one he'd found in the back of the closet. This is yours. I brought it. I don't know why. I just wanted you to have something that was yours. Do-hoon looked at the shirt, at his hands, at his face. Then he took it. Thank you. That's all I wanted. To give you something back. Even if it's just a shirt. He stepped back. I'll go. I won't bother you again. I just needed you to know that I see you now. Even if it's too late. He turned to leave. Soo-yuk. His name. He said his name. Soo-yuk turned. Do-hoon looked at him. And for the first time, something flickered in his eyes. Not forgiveness. Not love. But something. Jae-young is just a friend, Do-hoon said quietly. In case you were wondering. Then he walked away. Soo-yuk didn't leave. He stayed in the city. Got a small apartment. Found work he could do remotely. He didn't approach Do-hoon again, not yet. But he was there. Present. Available. He started coming to the bookstore. Not to talk, just to be. He'd buy a book. Sit in the corner. Read for hours. Sometimes he'd look up and catch Do-hoon watching him. Neither of them looked away. He learned Do-hoon's schedule, his preferences, his life. Not through stalking, through quiet observation. The way you learn about someone you're trying to understand. He learned that Do-hoon took his lunch at 1, that he always saved the crossword for last, that he had a soft spot for romance novels despite claiming they were silly. He learned that Do-hoon was kind, genuinely kind, not performatively so. He helped old ladies carry their books, recommended titles to uncertain readers, once spent an hour with a crying child until she found a book she liked. He learned that Do-hoon was worth knowing, that he'd always been worth knowing, that Soo-yuk had been too blind to see it. After 3 months, Do-hoon spoke to him first. "You're still here." Soo-yuk looked up from his book. "I am. Why?" "Because I'm not ready to leave." "Ready?" "I'm not ready to give up." He set the book down. "I know I don't deserve another chance. I know I hurt you in ways that can't be undone. But I also know that I've spent 3 months watching you live your life. And I've never once thought about Yeji. Not once. It's just you. It's always been you. I was just broken to see it." Do-hoon was quiet for a long moment. Then, Jae-young asked me, "Out last week." Something cold gripped Soo-yuk's chest. "Did you say yes?" I told him I needed time. "Why?" "Because I don't know what I want." Do-hoon met his eyes. "I spent a year being someone else. I'm still figuring out who I am. And now you're here. And you're saying all the right things. And I don't know if I can trust any of it." "You shouldn't." Soo-yuk stood. "Walk closer. You shouldn't trust me. I haven't earned it. I may never earn it. But I'm willing to try. For as long as it takes." "And what about Jae-young?" "What about him?" Do-hoon studied him for a long moment. "He's safe. He's kind. He sees me." "I know." The words hurt, but they were true. "He's everything I'm not. Everything I should have been. So why should I choose you?" Soo-yuk thought about it. Really thought about it. "You shouldn't. You shouldn't choose me. I'm not the safe choice. I'm not the kind choice. I'm the man who erased you and called it love." He stepped closer. "Close enough to touch but not touching. But I'm also the man who's been sitting in this bookstore for 3 months just to watch you breathe. I'm the man who brought back your shirt because I wanted you to have something that was yours. I'm the man who's learning, slowly, painfully, what it means to see someone instead of a ghost. I'm not asking you to choose me. I'm asking you to let me stay. To let me prove that I can be better. To let me earn the right to stand beside you. Even if it takes years. And if I choose Jae-young." Soo-yuk felt the words like a blade. But he met Do-hoon's eyes and said, "Then I'll watch you be happy with him. And I'll be grateful that someone finally saw you the way you deserve to be seen." Do-hoon stared at him for a long, long moment. Then, quietly, "Come back tomorrow." Soo-hyuk came back the next day. And the next. And the next. They talked. Really talked. For the first time. About Do-hoon's childhood, his dreams, his fears. About the years of loneliness before they met. About the slow erasure. The gradual disappearance. Moment he realized he didn't know who he was anymore. Soo-yuk listened. Really listened. He didn't interrupt. Didn't defend himself. Didn't try to make it about him. He just heard. And when Do-hoon asked questions about him, he answered honestly about Yeji. About the loss that had broken him. About the years of living with a ghost instead of facing the truth. About the moment he realized that Do-hoon was gone, and he couldn't remember his real name. "I'm sorry," he said, over and over. Not as a mantra, but as a truth he needed to speak. "I'm sorry for every time I called you his name. I'm sorry for every piece of you I erased. I'm sorry for never seeing you. I'm sorry for loving a ghost instead of the person right in front of me." Do-hoon didn't say it was okay, because it wasn't. But he listened. Months passed. Spring became summer. Summer became fall. Jae-young was still there, still kind. Still waiting. Do-hoon spent time with him to dinners, walks, conversations that were easy and light. Jae-young never pushed, never demanded, just was. Soo-yuk watched them together and felt the jealousy burn. But he swallowed it. This was Do-hoon's choice. Do-hoon's life. He had no right to interfere. One night, Do-hoon asked him, "Does it bother you seeing me with him?" Soo-yuk was honest. "Every time." "Then why don't you say anything?" "Because it's not my place. Because you deserve happiness, even if it's not with me. Because if he makes you happy, I'll learn to be happy for you." Do-hoon looked at him for a long moment. Then he said something that made Soo-yuk's heart stop. "He doesn't make me happy. He makes me comfortable. There's a difference." "What do you mean?" "I feel safe with him. I feel seen. But I don't feel alive. I don't feel like my heart is going to burst out of my chest. I don't feel like I'm home." Soo-yuk didn't dare breathe. "With you, I feel all of those things. And I hate it. I hate that after everything. You're still the one who makes me feel." "Do-hoon, I'm not saying I forgive you. I'm not saying I trust you. I'm just saying I feel it. And I don't know what to do with that." It happened at a cafe. 3 days later, Soo-yuk arrived to find Jae-young already there, sitting close to Do-hoon, his hand on Do-hoon's arm. They were laughing about something, heads bent together, easy and intimate. Something snapped. He walked over, placed his coffee on the table, and said, "Can I talk to you?" Alone, Jae-young looked up surprised. Do-hoon's expression was unreadable. "Whatever you need to say, you can say in front of him." Soo-yuk's jaw tightened. He looked at Jae-young, at his kind eyes and easy smile, and felt the words tearing out of him. "I'm in love with him." The table went silent. Jae-young's eyes widened. Do-hoon's expression didn't change. "I'm in love with him. And I've been in love with him since before I even knew who he was. I just didn't see it. I was too busy looking for someone else. But he's everything. He's kind and patient and funny, and he drinks his coffee sweet and he laughs at dumb jokes. And he reads romance novels even, though he pretends they're silly, and he's not Yeji. He never was. And I'm sorry it took me this long to see it." Do-hoon was staring at him, eyes wide. Jae-young looked between them, understanding dawning. Then, quietly, he stood. "I think I should go." Do-hoon reached for his arm. "Jae-young, it's okay," he smiled, sad but genuine. "I've known for a while. The way you look at him when you think. I'm not watching." He squeezed Do-hoon's hand. "You deserve to be happy. Both of you." He left. Do-hoon and Soo-yuk sat in silence, the weight of the moment pressing down. Finally, Do-hoon spoke. "That wasn't fair." "I know." To him. "To me. To yourself." "I know." "Why did you do it?" Soo-yuk met his eyes. "Because I couldn't watch him touch you one more time, Bekos. I'm selfish and broken, and I want you so much it's destroying me. Because I'd rather lose you completely than watch you choose someone else without knowing how I feel. And now I wait, however long it takes. If you choose him, I'll go. If you choose me, I'll stay. If you choose neither, I'll wait until you're ready." He reached across the table. Not touching, just offering. "I'm not going anywhere, Do-hoon. Not ever again." Do-hoon took 2 weeks. 2 weeks of thinking, of feeling, of remembering everything that had happened. 2 weeks of talking to Jae-young, who was gracious and kind and told him to follow his heart. 2 weeks of watching Soo-yuk from across the bookstore, waiting, hoping, fearing. On the last day, he walked up to Soo-yuk and said, "Walk with me." They walked along the coast, the ocean stretching endless beside them, the sky painted in shades of gold and pink. "I've been thinking," Do-hoon said. "About what?" "About you. About us. About whether it's possible to rebuild something that was never really built in the first place." Soo-yuk didn't speak, just walked beside him waiting. "I loved you. You know that, right? Even when you were erasing me. Even when you were calling me his name, I loved you. I loved you so much. I let myself disappear. I know. I don't love you the same way anymore. I can't. That person is gone." Soo-yuk nodded. "I know that too. But I feel something. Something I don't feel with anyone else. And I've spent a week trying to figure out if that's enough." They stopped walking. Do-hoon turned to face him. "I'm not ready to trust you. I'm not ready to forgive you. I may never be ready for either of those things. I understand. But I'm willing to try." Do-hoon met his eyes. "I'm willing to see if there's something here. Something real. Something that isn't about ghosts or replacements or performances. Just us." Soo-yuk's eyes filled with tears. "Do-hoon, I'm not saying yes to relationship. I'm saying yes to coffee, to conversations, to seeing if you're really the man you say you are now, or just another performance. That's more than I deserve." Probably a small smile. "But I'm giving it anyway." Soo-yuk reached out, slowly, giving Do-hoon time to move away. He didn't. Soo-yuk took his hand. "Thank you. Don't thank me yet. Prove it." "I will." He squeezed gently. "I'll prove it every day for the rest of my life."
They started slowly, coffee dates, walks along the coast, quiet evenings reading in the same room, not touching, just existing together. Soo-hyuk learned Do-hoon, really learned him, his favorite foods, his favorite books, the way he took his coffee, sweet, always sweet. He learned that Do-hoon hummed when he was happy, that he cried at sad movies, that he had a temper that flared quick and faded fast. Do-hoon learned Soo-hyuk too, the man beneath the mask, the grief he'd carried for years, the fear of loss that had made him cling to ghosts instead of facing the truth, the way he was trying, really trying, to be better. Jae-hyung remained a friend. He came to dinner sometimes, and the three of them would talk and laugh. And Soo-hyuk learned to be grateful for the kindness of a man who could have been his rival but chose to be something else. Months passed. The seasons turned again. One night, walking along the coast under a sky full of stars, Soo-hyuk stopped. "Do-hoon. Yeah, I love you. Simple. Honest. No performance. I love you. Not as a replacement. Not as a ghost. Just you. Everything you are." Do-hoon looked at him for a long moment. Then, slowly, He smiled his real smile, the one Soo-hyuk had learned to treasure. I know, is that okay? It's more than okay. Do-hoon reached up, touched his face. It's everything. They kissed, soft at first, then deeper. Years of pain and loss and longing poured into a single moment. When they pulled apart, Soo-hyuk was crying. I'm sorry, he whispered. I'm sorry for everything. I know. Do-hoon wiped his tears. I know. They stood there, holding each other, the ocean crashing below them, the stars wheeling overhead. It wasn't a happy ending. It was something better. It was a beginning. 2 years later, the bookstore was closed for the evening. Do-hoon sat behind the counter, reading. When the door opened and Soo-hyuk walked in, shaking rain from his coat. Still working? Just closing up. Do-hoon set down his book. You're late. Traffic. Soo-hyuk crossed to him, leaned down, kissed him gently. Happy anniversary. Anniversary? 2 years since you gave me a second chance. Do-hoon smiled. You've kept count? Every day. Soo-hyuk pulled something from his pocket. A small box. I've been carrying this for 6 months, waiting for the right moment. Do-hoon's heart stopped. I'm not asking you to marry me, not yet. That's a conversation we need to have together. When we're both ready. He opened the box. Inside, a simple silver band. This is a promise. A promise that I'll spend every day of my life trying to be worthy of you. That I'll never call you by the wrong name again. That I'll see you really. See you for as long as you'll let me. Do-hoon stared at the ring, tears in his eyes. I don't deserve this. Neither do I. Soo-hyuk took his hand, slid the ring onto his finger. But we deserve each other. We deserve the chance to build something
Real. Do-hoon looked at the ring on his finger, at the man kneeling before him, at the life they'd built together, slowly, painfully, beautifully. Yes, he whispered. Yes, Soo-hyuk stood, pulled him close, held him tight. Outside, the rain fell. Inside, to people who lost themselves and found each other held on. It wasn't perfect, it wasn't easy, but it was theirs, and that was enough.